Greetings. So this is my first in-gi tournament at Blue Belt. It's just a local tournament, so this is actually one of my club mates. So I get my underhook, so I get to the position I want to be in, and I pull him around, but I actually off-balance myself. So generally I don't get the throw first try, so I usually off-balance them first, then I try and get my throw. So I get inside thigh position, and I pull him around, hoping to off-balance him, and then go for my throw when I feel more confident. But he swings his leg all the way around, which pulls me off balance, and he gets inside thigh position. With his head and arm throw set up, he's able to take me down. I'm able to land on my legs, and the downside of a head and arm throw is you can get the back taken very easily. So I get my hooks in and pop my head out, and there's my back control. Grabbing the collar to try and lock in, make it uncomfortable on the neck. I remember saying sorry because I'm grabbing his beard. I try and grab around it. I remember thinking, now that I have the back, I don't want to let go. I want to try and use as little energy as possible and just stay on the back, grabbing the collar, making it uncomfortable, so I can try and get some sort of collar choke. He flattens out, and so I'm thinking this is my chance to get a better position for my choke, but I'm still not quite figuring out what I want to do. There he finally rolls. I grab both ends of the collar. I pull a little bit, but I'm like, I can't do that. I'm gonna tire out. So he rolls. I try to jump back on, but I think I'm gonna eventually lose this. He slides out. I go for my arm bar. He does a good job posturing up, so I go for the omoplata, and I don't think that's gonna work, so I open my guard back up, lock it into the triangle. It's my non-dominant triangle, so it's a little bit more awkward, so I need to cut the angle, finally get the leg, and he taps once the angle is cut. So my next match is actually against one of probably the person I train with the most. He's definitely a more experienced blue belt than me, and he knows I wrestle, so he pulled guard, and I'm just trying to make sure I don't get swept. So that's really just my number one goal right now. So I get hands into armpits, trying to make sure that he can't get a sweep, and then I'm going to try and stand up and break the guard. And I'm just trying to make sure I move as little as possible to give him no chance of getting an off balance on me. And then I'm just going to hopefully find a time when he opens his guard. But I know breaking the guard is what I need to try and do, so I'm just trying to think, how do I do it without getting off balance? But eventually, I'm like, he's going to open it, which he does. And I go to try and get around, staple on his hand, but end up getting stuck in the half guard again. I'm trying to get my underhook and flatten him out, but his collar grip and knee are stopping me. And I'm just trying to use as little energy as possible. Pretty much the second I stepped out there, I was like, felt like jello, just the adrenaline dump. So I'm able to get out. He stands back up, and I talked to him after. He was like, right, I pulled guard for a reason. And so I'm stuck back in his closed guard again. Hands on biceps, and then I stand up and gonna try and work another guard break, and I try and get my knee in between his legs to try and pry it open, which it works. Get control of that leg, staple it down. I'm just trying to make sure that I actually get control of that bottom leg. He goes for a Kimura, but I tuck it in. So again, I'm trying to get control of that hand, not let him get that collar grip again, which was controlling me before. And he manages to close up guard again. So again, I'm like, dang it, this is gonna be difficult. I don't know how I'm gonna crash. But then he goes for a hip bump sweep, and I'm able to fight it and get my weight back on him. And this was sort of the one mistake I capitalized. So now my head is into his armpit. I jump over guard, and I'm like, I'm not losing this distance that I finally covered. So I'm gonna keep him pinned, get my hand free. And just trying to make sure that my head is keeping his shoulder tight. And I get my hand free finally, and that lets me pin him to the mat, essentially in the arm triangle position. And so I know I need to risk not getting swept here and rolled over. So I'm going to be very, very slow as I do every motion to make sure that nothing's going to put any weight where he can roll me, because I know he will if I make any mistakes. So luckily the arm triangle is kind of putting him on defense mode. He's trying to ease up pressure by pulling. I'm trying to shimmy that leg out without doing anything else. I eventually drop my hand to help it out, and that gets me to mount. And I'm able to keep the arm triangle as I took that hand off. Now I try and get everything nice and tight, make sure shoulder under the chin before I go to knee on belly, where I'm going to try and finish. So I make sure everything feels good. I think I got it. And then I go to knee on belly, and there I get the tap. Eric was actually the one who kind of showed me a lot of things that were wrong with my arm triangle, and so he's the one helping me practice. So huge thanks to him for that. So this is Paul in white, who actually practices wrestling with us at the HEMA Club, and I knew that this smaller BJJ tournament was happening. Mainly it's just between two clubs, and I said, hey, you want to try 30 days, get ready for a jiu-jitsu tournament? And he was like, yep. So here against one of the more experienced white belts, you know, he's having trouble sort of dealing with the guard, but he managed to escape all of the positions in this match, and it just went to the time, and he lost by points. But most of it was not recorded. So here he is with his next match. He's going to be a little bit more cautious, trying to get grips. And there he gets to his underhooks. Now he goes for a sacrifice throw that he's been working on in the club. He's gotten a few times, and he just pulled the guy onto mount, which he is not ideal. So he's working his knee elbow escape. He still doesn't have them as default in his mind, so he's just trying to free his hands so he can start working on it. And there he manages to start there. He thinks to hook the foot, and then he's gonna figure out that he needs to get half guard. Good, and so generally what I would try and do is get that left underhook and then get to your knees, but the top person's getting a good job keeping him pinned, and he's just trying to fight the hands and trying to keep that leg stuck. He doesn't want that leg getting out. And he manages to get back into full guard and close his guard, and he's just trying to control the hands, make sure the other guy can't work whatever he wants to do. And so he's grabbing the collar, trying to keep him down. He does know the armbar a little bit from there, but under this resistance, it's probably not going to appear yet. And so he's just trying to keep his hands free and control the other person's hands. Good. I think he thinks about going for a scissor sweep, but the other person goes to jump over guard, and he locks it back up. So his opponent is able to pass guard, and so Paul does a good job shrimping, and trying to get back to a guard, gets his knee in, and works hard to finally get that half guard. And again, this is where I tell him to get his underhook and then get to his knees. And at least he hears the knees part, and he's able to get up and then get his underhook. And he's able to step in and get his full hip throw.
Yeah.
And from there, he's got the pin and keeps good pressure. He stuffs the frame with his forehead, which we had practiced to get that key lock. And using the crossface to get that key lock, he's able to work to finish it and get the tap.